For us, I'm married, we have kids now, we moved, we took these big steps, sort of like you guys did too. Our decision-making process now is, it should both scare us and excite us. We should be more excited than scared. And if we are, we'll do it.
Hey, I'm Jodi.
And I'm Chris.
And we are Loving the Outcome. Welcome to our podcast.
We're a husband and wife who rock out together.
We're parents of Milo and Ziggy.
And we're following Jesus as best we can.
Our story began in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where we fell in love, got married, and decided to sell everything and travel in our Jetta, selling CDs out of the trunk of our car.
The road led us to Nashville, where we signed a record deal, started our family, and now the four of us travel together in our minibus, White Neptune.
I know, crazy, right? Our life is a road trip.
And we want to invite you into it.
So come along for the ride as we chat with some of our favorite people about family, spirituality, wellness,
and of course, music.
Come on, let's go. Today's episode is a fun one. It's Dan Bremnes, our buddy that we've known forever. But maybe you haven't and you need to. His music is just so authentic. It's so poppy. It's so good. He's recently written a song called Run Away With Me, and the story behind this song is going to blow your mind. Basically, in a season where we've all forgotten how to dream, we've dealt with decision fatigue, lack of clarity. Dan was feeling all of those same things and got in a room and decided to, hey, what if? What if we lived our dreams? What if we risked? And where it led him was to a deserted private island. I can't tell you anything else because the story is so crazy. You're going to have to listen to the episode. But if you're a dreamer that's forgotten how, this episode is for you.
Before we get into it, we just wanted to say a big shout out to our Patreon members.
Woo woo!
Yeah, this podcast would not be possible without all these amazing people subscribing to our Patreon. So, here we go.
Thanks, Rick and Marcel, Mary, Bill, Dad Rad, Rachel, Glennis, Matt, Eva, Sean, and Lisa, Stacy, Emily, Jeremy, Dr. Scott, Misty, and Mary, and Michelle, and Greg, Stephanie, Emily, Denise, and Tim. Because of you, we have a podcast. If you guys want to subscribe, check out patreon.com/loveandtheoutcome.
Let's get back to the podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast.
We're back.
This is awesome. We have Dan Bremnes on the podcast, our buddy.
If I move my head a little bit, I have a princess crown. Boom.
Very nice.
You have to be watching on the video to see that.
What do I have? I have a...
You just have big hair. It's perfect.
I do have, I need a haircut.
We both do. This is, yeah.
Dan made us exquisite coffee. Where's this from?
So good.
Ethiopia, specifically, but more specifically Whole Foods.
Where we get all the things.
Yep.
Well, for real, I'm excited because we've been friends,
Forever.
Since we did a Canadian tour in vans.
Since the beginning.
Across.
Since when you were Jodi King and I was Dan Bremnes.
Yeah. Man, it's been a minute.
Just a twinkle.
But yeah, we walked, I feel like, really similar roads in a lot of ways. But for people that don't know you yet, okay, first of all, you know Dan. If you don't think you do, you do. From Up Again, and well, I think that's my favorite one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Such good music, such a good songwriter, such a good singer, really good hair.
I like your new one too, but we'll save that for later on.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we'll do a proper intro where we brag about all your things. But no, you're just a good friend, and I want everyone to know you, so let's talk about
Love
you.
It.
Take us back.
I'm honored to be on the podcast, so thank you.
Take us way back to like, why did you want to do music? Where are you from?
So I came from a small town called Salmon Arm, British Columbia in Canada.
You were right.
Yes. I knew we were both Canadians, but I was like, I know that he spent time in Salmon Arm.
I wasn't born there, but
I couldn't remember that you were.
My, what they call it, formative years
Yes.
were Salmon Arm.
Yes.
I was born in another place called Kamloops. People listening are probably laughing at the names, but that was growing up. It was the middle of nowhere. There was no Christian radio out there. There was no my dad was a pastor, but from just early on, I was like, music, of course. Why would I want to do anything else? I'd be so dumb if I did anything else. So I started on the drums, and
that's right.
I played actually for other artists. I toured sort of around the world before.
Do you think there's that common knowledge? Do people like in this space down here know that about you?
I don't think so. I played drums on my own first 2 records.
And on Winter Jam, you played a little kick drum.
Oh yes.
So
I still play that kick drum.
Dabbled.
I'm still dabbling. I love playing drums, and the travel part of it, and the artists I played for. It was sort of before the time of like music becoming worldwide accessible. So they weren't
to tour.
They weren't massive artists, but they were well known enough that I got a ticket around the world, sort of thing, and it was really fun. And I did it 100% for free. Like if we went back, I'm sure there's some labor laws violated.
Absolutely, same.
I was just happy to be there.
Yep.
And
do you remember getting your first check
for playing music?
For music, yeah.
No, I'm still hoping for it.
Right. with you.
I do sort of. I don't remember specific. I just remember like the feeling of like, oh, I got paid for doing music. It's like felt like I cheated the system or something.
Right.
And then I was like, I think I want to write music. And I had a class in school randomly in the town of Salmon Arm where my teacher was really into recording, and this is just as digital recording was switching from analog to digital. So he bought like this, 8-track digital thing, and like he probably spent like a lot of the school budget, maybe without them knowing.
That's amazing.
He like built a studio. Like it was like a $200,000 setup, and our whole class once a week was dedicated to learning how to write out slash charts, how to write a song, and we'd have these projects where we'd write a song and then we'd go in and record it. So we learned how to engineer it. We learned the whole process of being a recording artist in this tiny little town, which that I still have not found that class anywhere else on the planet.
Wow, that's crazy.
In a public school. So I didn't realize how lucky I was to have that, and that's really what allowed me to go in and make my first record at a fraction of the cost, because I was the producer, I was the engineer, not the engineer, but I knew what an engineer was. I hired one, I went to Vancouver, I rented out the studio, I put down all my own bed tracks, like drums, bass, guitar, and then I went into the studio and played all the drums. And then I edited it all, hired other musicians. We did it actually online. I think it was just because I was in Salmon Arm. I would send the track to players in Vancouver because I didn't want to use studio time, because studios were like hundreds of dollars an hour.
Smart, yeah.
And they would send it back to me. I'd put it on Pro Tools. I'd edit it. So I really like produced and edited my whole first album, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I probably wouldn't have had the courage to do it unless I had that class. So I'm just super thankful. And even talking about it now, I'm like, that's really the reason.
Canadians take do-it-yourself to a whole new level.
It was the Home Depot of recording. Yeah. Really.
But the funny thing is, like, so you're in Salmon Arm, you're taking this class, and I mean, I want you to tell all the details in between, but whether you sign a record deal like you did, or another record deal like you did, you're still doing so much yourself. So if you don't kind of do it because you love it and learn all the ropes on how to do it yourself, and just, it's hard to sustain.
Yeah, totally. And it was scary though, because it still cost me like everything I'd saved in my whole life up until that point. And I was like, this could be the worst. And people from my town were just like, everybody, but some people were like, why is Dan doing that? He just got married. Like, this seems foolish.
Don't you take the money and put it into a house or put it into something stable?
Something smarter. Like, I had no guarantees, and then, and then I had to order the CDs, and 1,000 CDs showed up at the door, and I was like, oh, I guess the next thing I have to do is tour.
Right.
I didn't think through all the steps at all. Right. I was just like, I'm going to record an album and everything's going to work out. And I was like, obviously can't. So my next goal was to just pay the record off.
Yeah.
And I did. And, it was, looking back, that was a big fork in the road, between me being a professional waiter, at the time. Cause, I was a carpenter, and then it was just bad at the moment. I had no work, so it could have been a totally different life.
Do you think doing that, like just putting all your money into it, like set you up to like build a muscle to like risk and just go for it?
That's a great thought. I think so.
Yeah.
Because by nature, I'm more of a cautious, not much of a risk taker until I take a small risk, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should take a bigger one. So I'm pretty cautious, conservative sort of person. But then I don't know. I for some reason can't stop pushing myself. It's Jekyll and Hyde, I guess.
That I think we can relate to that. I think there were like many points along the way of getting, like, we're here in Nashville and we both separately moved here, you know, on the journey. But like along the way, there were always like, you know, little low-hanging fruit, as our manager likes to say. You know, like we could work.
Easier path.
We were here. Someone's offering us a job here, or we could do this here, or we could just stay in this spot with this community. This is real. This feels comfortable. But it's like, okay, well, we know we can do that. What about this next thing?
Yeah, I mean that's such a question.
So we know this risk. What's the next thing?
When to lean in and when to let go is always hard. Like just in decision making and dream making. How do you navigate that? Like when you feel like, I think I need to take this risk, like what makes you know that that's the thing?
I was thinking about this the other day, actually. And first off, I don't think when you take a small risk, and whether it works out or not, you actually at that moment become alive. You feel like, oh, this is
even
what it
right
feels
now
like to
talking
live.
about it, I'm like,
this is, and there's a principle, even in the Bible that sums it up. It's like, if you try and save your life, you will lose it.
right?
But if you lose your life, you'll save it. So it's like this opposite thing. We all want everything. We want our cake and eat it too. We want to be safe, secure inside of our safety net, take the low-hanging fruit, but we want the reward of what comes with risk. But this principle, you just can't break it. If you want to gain your life, you have to, and what losing feels like is taking a risk. It's like, I'm putting it out there. Yeah.
And even losing it, even if you had lost all the money, you're winning. Because without doing that, it doesn't feel like it. Oh man, like tell me that with all the times I like lost it all. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but you are always gaining something fresh.
You're learning, even if you fail.
Yeah.
But I think for us, and now that we've kind of, I'm married, we have kids now, we moved, we took these big steps, sort of like you guys did too. We talked about this the other week. Our decision-making process now is, it should both scare us and excite us. But we should be more excited than scared. And if we are, we'll do it.
I love that.
Or at least take a stab
everybody listening
at it.
needs to like write that down, put it on the fridge, because that it feels counterintuitive, because you hear it especially within like these Christianese, these words we throw around like follow peace. Like people always said that to me as a teenager, like follow the peace. Like what gives you peace? You know, where is God giving you peace? Which I always really bucked against that, because I was like, no, the things that make me most nervous and most scared end up often leading me to the most peace. But in the moment, if I'm just following peace, I'm sitting on my couch. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's always the right way. Maybe you need both, like you said. I
think it's like, the analogy for me is like, would I jump out of a plane with nothing attached? No. That's just dumb.
Right.
You know, there is risk that's not calculated, and there's risk that's harmful. But if you put a parachute on, now that's a whole different story. Right. There's still risk, but you have way more option of having fun. Or having an experience. Yeah. And that's been a good guiding lesson for me, because like I said, I'm more cautious in my natural state.
That's cool though, because you've
built. Have you jumped out of a plane?
I have.
There you go. Have you?
Twice.
I got close. And it wasn't because I didn't want to. At the time, it was too expensive. That was that was just like, and I feel really dumb about that now, because it's like, we should have just spent the money on it, because it was like,
I didn't know you had this regret.
No, it was for your brother's bachelor party.
Hey, you're still alive. You could do this.
I am still alive.
Now I know. Next birthday.
I was the videographer, so I was the nerd on the ground getting all the shots.
Bungee jumping though is something I'll never. There's never a reason for me to do that. I don't care how fun. What?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Was I there when you did it?
I've heard
I don't think so.
Wait, no, you did it at West Edmonton, didn't you?
Yeah, which I don't feel like is real, because it's still indoor.
Real. It's still real. But walk me through there must have been at least 3 big emotions.
Totally, but it's what you described. It just seemed really fun.
Oh.
So the fun and exciting outweighed the scared, and that's why I did it.
I'm gonna do it.
Wow!
No, I'm still not gonna do it.
I love it. No, this is so perfect because this was not planned because we don't really know how to plan podcasts. We're just like, we like conversation and we're like, where is this going to go? We're the most unorganized podcasters of all time.
Perfect.
But your new single
Yeah.
that's coming out like this week is sort of about this. It's about dreaming. And I feel, okay, first of all, tell us the story about your new song and then I'll keep going with the next question.
Okay, so the song is called Run Away With Me, and
It's so good.
thank you.
It's so good. I love it.
I remember I sat down with a few friends and it was September of 2020 and it was sort of like at the height of everything feeling just dark. Almost like you could feel it in the air, like this collective humanity was like, my life was canceled, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or my plans were canceled, my dreams were canceled,
yeah.
I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that
And they kind of were, like some were. Like people
yeah.
didn't know how to do stuff the way they needed to do it from home, from wherever.
And what we lost was in that season, and it felt like it could have been forever, which makes it hard. What we lost was the ability to dream, to look into the future and to dream. And people didn't feel like they had that. So I think it really hurt a lot of people, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I think it's one of the hardest things you can do to a human being is take away hope. You know, and hope has to do with the future.
Yeah.
So it felt dark. And we sat down and we were all just like, let's just write a song about what we'd do if we could. And it was very simple. We were like, this doesn't have to be any particular type of song. You know, we're not going to try and be smart. We're just going to be honest.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's write it about where we would take our wife or girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever you love, your kid.
Yeah.
And so the first line that pops into my head was like, we could buy a private island. I was like, let's just dream big. And then one of the other guys, Mike, he was like, he's like, well, my 40th birthday got canceled. I was supposed to go to Machu Picchu. So he's like, let's write about that. I was like, oh,
Perfect.
That sucks. And then the other guy was like, well, we could go to walk London in the fall. And I was like, this is great. So we started throwing out all these ideas.
That all sounds so good.
I know. Let's go. So we started just throwing out all these ideas, which became like the backbone of the song. And, it turned into this really, really cool, thing where I was like, we have to release a song. And then I was like, I think we should do a video.
Yeah.
And this was still in that season, and I was like, this is one of those risks that didn't have a lot of. It had more downside potential than upside. But I called John Steingard, who did a video for Wherever I Go.
Yep.
Because I knew that he would be crazy enough to do a video. And I was like, John, I think we have a music video here if we can pull it off, but we need to find a private island to do it. Let's base the video on a private island. And he's like, okay, go find it. And he's like, if you can find it, I'll do it. If you build it. And then I went online and I found this island. It was perfect. It was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me. And it happened to me a few times after that. It was just very strange, almost mystical. I don't know how to explain it, but I looked at this picture and I knew I was going to go there. And it was just speaking to me. There's something about that particular island.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Not to interrupt, but we've been friends with Dan for a while now, and one of the things that I love about him is that he is the master at finding you create adventures like no one else.
Oh.
Like
Yeah,
you
that's
find
true. That's true.
How you're able to find these things like online, whatever it is, and just like we'll get together and have dinner with the kids and you just talk about this thing. I found this thing, it's like, wow, that is the most amazing that I've ever seen. Like, how did you come up with that? Like, and you did this trip around the world a few years ago that you did for, I don't know, it was like something ridiculous, like $1,000. And you went like everywhere around the world. And we're just like, how does he do these things?
We're gonna ask him how. But keep
Anyways,
going. Yes.
yeah.
Sorry to
Thank
interrupt.
you. That's a great compliment. I think I'm just trying to keep myself interested in life,
That's good. That's a good answer.
And that's the only way I can do it.
That is.
So I looked at popped the screen open probably 10 times. And one day my wife, Brittany, walked by and she's like, you're not going to go there just by looking at the picture. And I was like, you're right.
Good
She's like,
point.
you should reach out.
See, wives are very smart.
The smartest,
you know?
yeah. So she was like, you should reach out and see what they say. And I was like, I was too embarrassed to. I hate asking for free things.
Right.
But I was like, I think it is the only way. So I reached out to the owner of the island. I was like, hey, this is really weird, but I don't have any money. Like touring has been canceled.
Yeah.
We're sort of like running on minimal steam. But I have a song and I think your island would be perfect for the video. And 10 minutes later, he replies back and he said, hey, did you write the song Up Again?
No way! Go on!
And I was like, yeah. And he's like, we're from Texas. The island was in Belize. So I had no idea that someone from Texas owned this island.
I
He's
mean,
like,
Texas is big. We didn't know it was this big.
Right, very.
Like,
He's like, me and my wife, we love your song and we'd love for you to come to the island for free. And I was like, it's happening. We're doing this.
Wow.
We are doing
Unreal.
this. So I called John and we high-fived virtually, and he was crazy enough to do it. And we there was still obviously some expenses with flights and stuff, so we had some skin in the game, and there was still a lot of risk because I think it was the hardest month in all of COVID to travel. We were traveling January 2021.
Wow.
I booked the flights. We got a few COVID tests. I thought for sure something was going to get messed up along the way, but it all worked.
Wow.
And I remember sitting there on the island and just being like, I am living inside of my own song.
Right.
For once.
Right.
When you write a song as a songwriter, it's like you create these little worlds for people to live in for 3 minutes.
Right.
And it's like you do that over and over and people get to live in this world.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my career, I was like, I get to live in my own song for a day.
Wow.
I don't get to stay there.
You chose a
As
good
if
world
you were
to-
the creator of Mario Brothers and all of a sudden it's like, I'm throwing fireballs.
That's a great analogy. And it was a really powerful moment. And I was like, how many things have I missed? Just because I didn't ask or reach.
Right. Because I just stared at the picture. I didn't jump into it.
I think there's something there I'll never forget, and I don't consider myself to be more special than the next human being. So I don't think it was just me. Dan gets to do this.
Right.
And that became the mission of the video. We actually have a whole bunch of other stops planned. We were gonna go to a few other places in the video. One was Arizona, one was the Grand Canyon, one was Yosemite, and you'll hear it in the song. And we actually flew there to do it, and it all fell apart. We couldn't skydive that day. One of the lines in the song is skydive over the Grand Canyon. There's a place called Skydive Over the Grand Canyon. I was like, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
There was too much wind, and it derailed the whole video. It felt like it, and we all looked at each other and we're like, this is about the island. And this video isn't about, Dan going on and check out what I did. Check out this Flex video. It's more like the whole purpose behind the song became to inspire people to do the same thing.
Wow.
Dan's not special.
Yeah.
And we all have these opportunities in our life, custom made opportunities that are waiting for us.
Yeah.
If we reach. And I remember just sitting there on the island and being like, this came out of, and this is, I think, true creativity. Human beings, creativity isn't drawing a picture per se, or limited to just a few things. Creativity is we were sitting in a room in a time of impossibility and we spoke out a word, and then I was living inside of that, and it blew my mind. It just changed the course of my life forever.
Yeah.
And that's creativity.
That's good.
We have the opportunity to speak, and it's not like a hokey, out there, speak your reality, but sort of is. We have the opportunity.
Let's go there.
That is creativity. You
mean,
speak the future.
And that's creation, if you want to talk about that story, right? It's some things need to be spoken and then jumped into.
Right.
Lived.
But it's not I shall have $1 million.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not there's no science to it. It's it's very out there. I don't know how to explain it except for, it happens. It works.
Yeah. Well, let's try and explain it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think for someone sitting there listening to this, that's I'm still there. I'm still stuck. You know, I don't know how to unstick myself from, I lost my job, or I stopped dreaming during COVID and I don't really know how to start this up again. Like, what would you say to somebody that's just still there?
I was riding my motorcycle today, and I had this thought. Or it was actually yesterday. I picked up Eli from school, and we're going along real slow, and there's just cars in front of us. And as soon as I stopped, basically, unless I put my feet down, the bike would fall over. And it occurred to me, like, I think that really is like our lives. You have to start moving. If you don't start moving, you lose balance, you're stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and sometimes starting to just move feels weird, because you're like, I don't have anything to aim for. I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
I'm not inspired. But I think the important thing to do is to just start moving towards anything.
Yeah.
And once you're moving, then you can course correct, you can change directions, but unless you're moving, you can't. You're
So start moving.
You're idle on the side of the road.
Yeah, you gotta start moving. Take that next step. And you're right, I think that is the toughest thing, when you don't have something you're aiming at, like a clear aim, or you just lack clarity in general, like, it's hard to know what to do, but you're right, you do. You just have to go on a walk, you have to start moving. You have to take that next step.
Even going on a walk, or get a very basic job,
Yeah.
Like one of the things that got me into music is I had a job I hated, but I had a job, so at least I had a way of like surviving. But then I could create a little bridge, and I was like, this is what I really want to do. Okay, this is what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like we can get so afraid of making the wrong decision that we don't make any decision.
That we're just kind of paralyzed.
Yeah, just get yourself like moving, and then figure out where you want to go.
So how do you, for someone listening going, is this my dream, or is this God whispering something to me to do this thing? Is there a difference between
I think it's the same.
Like your gut and God? It's just like, if you sense it and you want to do it and it's equal parts scared and exciting, you go? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't think there's a way of separating if it's God or us. Like, maybe sometimes if it's like, we've had some things where we're like, oh, we really want to do this one thing, and then the door closes.
Yeah.
And that's, I would say, divine intervention.
Right.
And we look back and we're like, oh, thank God that didn't happen.
Right.
Because we really wanted that.
Right.
So we sort of trust that.
Like the skydiving closing or whatever it may be, right? Like this road is closed, we're going this way now. Totally. But you're moving. You have to be moving to even encounter that. Which is interesting.
And innocently. I mean, sometimes we try to be too smart for ourselves. And should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to start taking steps towards this. Oh, it's working. Oh, it's not.
And wanting something, like our happiness counts. I sometimes think, especially if you've grown up in church, that like we feel that if it's not like super hard and drudgery and it's not from God or something, like it has to be hard, or that's not full faith unless it's really like terrifying. It's like, no, if it excites you and you want to do it, like just take a step towards it.
I love that.
And God will, because even the divine intervention didn't happen until you were walking. Like you've got to kind of be in motion. So, and then to the person that has big dreams and big ambitions, is it the same answer? Like, how do you get those big dreams, big ambitions, like going?
Yeah.
Is it the same thing?
Is in like where to start?
Yeah. Like, how do you start? Because I know a lot of people that you probably meet are like, I'm so inspired, right? Like, I'm so inspired by your video. I'm so inspired by your new song. And I have so many big dreams. I just don't even know how to start.
I think, and I've had a lot of people I've met on the road or in my travels, who would ask that same question, like, and I think what we do is we look at people that, have arrived at some sort of position on their journey, and we're overwhelmed.
Right.
So we disqualify ourselves before we start.
Sure, like I couldn't do that.
Yes, they see the finish line, but the most everybody I know, including you guys, that has had any sort of like dream come true or success or goal reaching or whatever you want to call it, there's a long and exciting and interesting backstory. Right. But it's very one small...
No one's like a overnight success.
It's baby steps.
Right.
It's like when your kid learns to walk, like they're not running a marathon. Like when you see how slow growth happens, but how like incredibly it compounds, your kid first just has to learn how to lift his head up, and then and then they push their arms up, and then eventually they start walking, and then they're falling all over the place, and it's messy, and it's a lot of failing. It's a lot of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But when all that learning compounds and you keep moving in the direction slowly you want to go, all of a sudden you find yourself like we did, after 7 years. Oh, I'm in Nashville now. Oh, I have a record deal.
Right.
People might look at that and be like, oh, Dan, that's so cool. He's so lucky. Like he wrote a song and got a record deal.
Right.
But it was thousands of dollars and it was years and years and it was touring and like the journey was awesome. I'd never do it again, but the journey was great.
Right.
I would not trade the journey, but you have to take the journey.
Right.
Instant overnight success is a myth.
It is a myth.
And if instant overnight success happens, it probably won't happen twice. If you stumbled upon it, you bet on the right stock, you accidentally wrote a hit song, there's no way it's going to happen twice.
Right.
And it probably won't last.
Right.
And who are you? Are you in a place to even steward it well or receive it or enjoy it? Not let it stress you out and lose your mind and lose it all anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been in that place to win a lot of money. It sounds great. Man, that's good stuff. Well, I know we got to pick up kids from school. I could talk about this for a really long time, but
in honor of the video, what would be, well, I couldn't name less than 20, but what would be your like top 3 desert island albums?
Ooh. I don't know. Is there multiples? I didn't know there was that.
Yeah, I thought it was like...
the only thing that came to my mind was Island in the Sun, and that's a song, right? Is that Weezer?
That works.
Weezer song.
That's a fun song.
Okay.
Weezer's
that's good.
great.
I know.
Like
Sorry, I meant like top, I guess...
Oh, like the album...
Sorry, you understood the question differently. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. I meant it as like, what are the albums that you could not live without? That you would have...
on an island.
Yes, that you would need to have with you on a desert island.
It'd probably be... This is so classic. We're probably the same. There's at least one of these. It's definitely going to be Joshua Tree by U2.
Yeah.
Can't live without that album. I actually really liked the Delirious what is it called?
Metamorphosis?
It's Metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are very similar. Wow.
And the third one, I don't know, probably Love and the Outcome record.
Oh, that's right. I knew we were good friends. I love it. So good. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for inspiring us.
Yeah.
So good. Just kidding, we're not done. Tell us. Yeah, how can people track with you?
Well, the video, which is, either just coming out.
Yeah, we'll say this week. It's coming out this week.
So the video, it's coming out this week. And it's the usual places, YouTube and all that. It's called Runaway with Me. It's a love song, and it's a dreaming song. I really hope that, go watch that and start dreaming. Because I really do think that's what keeps us alive. Like truly living.
Not just breathing.
Yes, not just a pulse, but actually enjoying your life. You get to enjoy your life. You can do that.
That's good.
That's great, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Hope and Healing International.
For $30 a month, $1 a day, you can sponsor a life-changing surgery for a little boy or girl living in Africa. We're talking about club feet, cleft palates, going from blindness to sight. In 1 year, you can literally send a healing hug and change a child's life.
If you'd like more information, go check out the website at lovehealinghugs.com, and you can see video of our buddy Bernard.
This is my son, Bernard. He wants so much to be and play like the other children. But he can't. Instead, he suffers every day. As a father, I would do anything for my son. I love him, but sometimes this is not enough. They say they can heal my boy. I told them, I work hard, but I have no money to pay for it. They told me someone in Canada is paying to heal my son.
For over 100 years, Hope and Healing International has helped break the cycle of poverty and disability for thousands of children in the poorest communities. But we can't do it alone. For $30 a month, you will directly fund the surgeries, medical care, and rehabilitation for a child who would otherwise go untreated. A child just like Bernard. We will send you a picture of every child you help, their treatment plans, and progress reports. And each child we treat on your behalf will receive this bear to hug on their journey ahead. All you have to do is go online or call now. It's that simple.
Thank you for making my son smile again.
Thanks for listening in today, friends. And I just wanted to let you know that we have started a Patreon a little while ago.
Yeah.
And you can go to www.patreon.com/loveandtheoutcome to check out what we have in store there. There's some special things that are only for Patreon members. There are 2 different price tiers that you can join up.
Yeah.
And, just stay in touch with what we're doing.
Yeah. I think you just put up a song from your old band.
Yes.
Or you're about to.
Yes.
Stuff like that we're not really sharing elsewhere. It's kind of a behind the scenes exclusive access to Love and the Outcome. So meet us there. Like always, if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who needs this in their life. Rate, review, subscribe, and check out Healing Hugs because they're just incredible. Check out the link.